Originally, Fang Hao thought that clothes like maid outfits were just to satisfy men's preferences. In the current stage of arduous survival, it would be difficult to sell them. But the reality was the opposite of what he thought. Compared to ordinary men's and women's clothing, maid outfits sold surprisingly well. Apart from those distributed to the rabbit girls, the rest were sold out in less than 5 minutes. The popularity far exceeded ordinary clothing. It seems that personalized clothing is also very popular. Maid outfits sold out, and ordinary clothes also decreased rapidly. Underwear was still being sold due to the large quantity. At the same time, Fang Hao also received a large number of pre-orders. Among them, there were some lords whose names made it clear that they were men, who were also ordering maid outfits. In this brand new world, release your nature and find your true self. After eating breakfast, Fang Hao returned to his bedroom and began to study today's plan. The area near the territory has been explored almost completely, and the southeast, northwest, and all directions have been cleared once, especially with Njia's joining. She goes out for a stroll when she has nothing to do. She has turned the nests of nearby beasts upside down. Of the map spot from the tavern, there is still one left in his hand, but the location is east of the Minotaur camp, and the distance is far, so it may be a bit troublesome. In addition to the threat of the Skullcrusher tribe, he had to accelerate the pace of development. Lying on the bed, he directly entered the divine advent state. The next second, Fang Hao appeared in the pigman village. On the skeleton warriors stationed there, the soul fire in his pupils had just ignited when he saw Petty returning from outside the territory, whispering something to the accompanying pigman. Petty. Fang Hao walked down from the city wall and called out. The co-defense force left in Pigman Village. Besides patrolling nearby, the rest were standing guard on the city wall. When Petty saw the skeleton calling her, she knew that Fang Hao was using his ability. After briefly explaining a few words to the other pigman, she came to Fang Hao and said, "Lord." "Well, Petty, how is the investigation of the Dragon Burial Cave that I asked you to arrange?" Fang Hao asked. Since the Dragon Burial Cave is north of Pigman Village, he asked Petty to arrange for people to investigate the situation early on. "There are already results. Lord, please come inside. I'll get the map for you to see." Petty made a gesture of invitation. The two entered the tribal chief's hall. Petty took out a hand-drawn simple map and placed it in front of Fang Hao. "Lord, the location of the Dragon Burial Cave is located in a continuous mountain range. The road is rugged, and the resources are very scarce. I arranged several ways of people to explore and found a route. If you give me more time, I can continue to explore into the mountains." Petty introduced that on the map in the Lord's book, the location of the Dragon Burial Cave is lit, and the rest of the surroundings are still covered by fog, which is in the unexplored stage. This pigman's exploration is of great help to Fang Hao. "No need, this is enough. When I come over, arrange for people to lead us," Fang Hao said. "Oh, okay, Lord." Petty nodded quickly. It seems that Fang Hao is going to explore the Dragon Burial Cave. After the two finished talking, Fang Hao canceled the Divine Advent state, put on his armor, and walked downstairs with the spark staff. First floor hall. Jia had already changed into a maid outfit and was talking to Ear about something. Seeing Fang Hao coming downstairs, she turned around happily and asked, "How is it?" "Beautiful." Fang Hao praised Jia and Ear belong to two different kinds of beauty. Even if Jia puts on a maid outfit, she doesn't have the feeling of a gentle maid. She is more like a troublemaker wearing a maid outfit. "Really? Then I'll wear this from now on." And Jia said happily, "If you want to wear it, come back and wear it again. Clean up a bit. We're going out later." Fang Hao said. Saying that, he sat down to the side, opened the Lord's book, and reconfirmed the route of action he had just seen from Pigman Village. "Where are we going?" And Jia put her arm around Fang Hao's shoulder and looked at the map in the Lord's book. The soft touch of the steamed bun came from her arm. Fang Hao pointed to the map. "Here, the Dragon Burial Cave." "Huh? Dragon Burial Cave? Did a dragon die there?" And Jia immediately became interested, her eyes glowing. The dragon race has always been synonymous with power. At a place where a dragon has died is naturally a good place for adventure. "I don't know. That's what the name is. Maybe a big snake died, or maybe there's nothing at all," Fang Hao said, telling Jia not to have too much hope. Dragon Burial Cave is just the name of the map. Like Mysterious Cave and Unknown Camp, they are all names given to the location by the discoverer, but it cannot be concluded whether there really is a dead dragon. Of course, Fang Hao hopes to have a dragon corpse. Don't say so much. Wait for me to change clothes, and then we'll set off. And Jia trotted upstairs to change clothes. When she came down again, she had already changed into her own clothes, with a team of tiger fingers hanging around her waist. After briefly explaining to Ear and Fireblade, she set off with 50,000 troops, and the army set off towards the north. The Lord's mansion has been upgraded to a level 5 stone building, and the Bone Throne has a marching bonus. This has significantly improved the speed of the large army. Soon, the army arrived at Pigman Village. Lord, Miss and Jia. Petty led several pigmen forward to greet them. Are you ready? Fang Hao asked. Everything is ready. Let Bolton lead you. The flatbed and some necessities on the road have also been prepared. Petty replied. Every time Fang Hao sends out troops, he will bring some flatbeds. The skeleton dire wolves pull the carts so that any spoils of war can be easily brought back. Bolton took a step forward and greeted the two of them. Lord, Miss and Jia. Bolton, are you familiar with this road? Fang Hao asked. Familiar? Okay, let's go then. Fang Hao entered the room, cast Divine Advent, and the team set off again, advanced towards the Dragon Burial Cave. Bolton took the drawn map and led the team through the mountains and jungles. This kind of map is not a map page that can be integrated into the Lord's book, but a hand-drawn map on a piece of animal skin. It marks the approximate route and important locations that I'm afraid only someone familiar like Bolton can understand this kind of map. In order to avoid trouble, the large team bypassed some forces and monster nests to avoid unnecessary battles. After all, the mission this time is the Dragon Burial Cave, and they have to return to the territory before night falls. It can be said that the time is tight and the task is heavy. After at least 4 or 5 hours of journey, they finally arrived at the continuous mountain range that Petty mentioned. At the same time, Fang Hao, who was controlling the skeleton warrior, began to feel the burden of mental power due to the distance. Fortunately, the goal is not far away, and he can hold on until he reaches the Dragon Burial Cave. Lord, the road ahead is a bit rugged. Bolton reminded the two of them in front of the mountains. Go in, Fang Hao said. The entire team obeyed Fang Hao's orders, but the hero of the territory is actually in Jia. Jia has the pathfinding skill. The marching influence of the hero's led troops in rugged terrain is reduced by 20%. This can also play a certain role. Bolton led the team into the mountains. The gaps in the mountains were like wind tunnels, with the wind howling. All around were stone walls, and no vegetation grew. As they got closer to their destination, the path became more rugged. Just as they were about to reach their destination, suddenly, the ground trembled and rocks rolled down the surrounding slopes. Then, the sound of hurried footsteps came from directly ahead. Looking up suddenly, they saw several monsters made of stone running down the sloping mountain, charging towards the team. Stone Elemental, Tier 6. Stone Elementals were humanoid, with stone limbs and heads made of stone. They were over 3 meters tall, and their running sounded like an earthquake, thudding loudly. Roar! The leading stone elemental roared and threw the stone in its hand. Whoosh! The stone came whistling towards the team like a cannonball. Immediately after, the other stone elementals also threw the stones in their hands, attacking the Undead Legion. Raise your shields, Fang Hao roared. The skeleton soldiers raised the shields in their hands. The next second, there was a dense sound of impact. Bang, bang, bang. Stones fell like rain, even though the outside of the shields was wrapped in a layer of iron. Facing such an attack, they began to twist and deform. After a round of throwing, the stone elementals had already rushed down the mountain and were charging towards Fang Hao and the others. At this point, Fang Hao had no other solution but to fight. Kill them. Whoosh! The order was given, and the Undead Legion surged out like a disturbed beehive, launching an attack on the charging stone elementals. With their large strides, the tall skeleton ogre gradually rushed to the forefront. Thump, thump, thump. The skeleton ogre instantly collided with the similarly sized stone elemental, making loud thudding sounds. The adze in its hand was raised high and chopped directly at the stone elemental's head. The iron tool cutting against stone produced a piercing sound. A piece of the stone elemental's head was instantly chopped off, but it still didn't prevent the stone elemental from counterattacking. Stone fists slammed into the skeleton ogre's body, making heavy thudding sounds. The surrounding skeleton soldiers also instantly surrounded the stone elemental and launched a dense siege. Iron tools struck against the rocky skin, and sparks appeared from time to time. Jia stood to the side, calmly putting on her brass knuckles. She glanced at Fang Hao, then pushed off the ground and charged towards the stone elementals. Arriving in front of the nearest stone elemental, she leaped up and punched out with her right fist. Boom! With a muffled bang, Jia's punch landed directly on the stone elemental's head. The seemingly indestructible stone under this punch was as fragile as porcelain, instantly shattering into pieces and scattering into a pile of rubble on the ground. Jia landed, but her feet didn't stop for a moment. She charged towards the next stone elemental again, beginning her hunting spree, whether facing the large number of undead or Jia, who was picking targets and killing them randomly. The stone elementals were killed one after another, turning into piles of rubble on the ground. Boom. Soon, under Jia's lead, all the stone elementals were taken down. They dropped some rare materials, clear the battlefield, collect all the spoils of war, and search for treasure chests. Fang Hao ordered loudly. The skeleton warriors instantly dispersed and began collecting items from the surroundings. Bolton, are you all right? When Fang Hao looked at Bolton, his expression instantly changed. Bolton's entire head was stained red with blood, a bloody red pig's head, which looked a bit alarming. I'm fine, my lord. Just some scrapes, Bolton said, constantly wiping away the blood that was obstructing his vision. At the very beginning of the battle, the stones that were thrown, although they didn't hit him directly, but the scattered fragments after the stones shattered scratched his forehead and then pierced his ear. Blood flowed down, staining half of his face red. After some simple bandaging, the bleeding stopped. There's a healing spring in the territory. You can get some when you get back. It can help with your recovery, Fang Hao said. The spring of regeneration had the effect of healing injuries. N01 in the territory had been injured, so it hadn't been tested yet, but it was still selling well in the channel, which also proved that the spring of regeneration was really effective. It's all right, my lord. I've gotten this kind of injury before. Just bandage it up and it'll be fine, Bolton said nonchalantly. Although Bolton said it didn't matter, he was secretly cursing his bad luck in his heart. When the pigmen explored on their own before, they hadn't encountered this group of stone elementals. Perhaps the movement of tens of thousands of troops was too great, and somehow it attracted this group of stone elementals. When you get back, have someone get some. Don't let it get infected, Fang Hao said, then looked at it. Jia, are you all right? TCH. This. You think this can hurt me? What a joke, Jia said with a look of disdain. Fang Hao's concern seemed like a lack of trust in her strength. Good, as long as you're all right. Soon, the spoils of war were collected. Obtained. Nature Gem X12, Trace of Earth X16, Trace of Battle X8, Magic Essence X5. It seems that spirit-type species do not drop wriggling spines. After several battles with spirit-type species, after killing them, the drops were all some related rare materials. After a 5-minute stop, a treasure chest was carried in front of Fang Hao by a skeleton. A silver treasure chest. Fang Hao didn't hesitate and opened it directly. Obtained. Cellar Construction Blueprint, Stone Slab Production Blueprint, Trace of Earth X3, War Coin X22. The rewards were average, but the two blueprints were exactly what Fang Hao didn't have. Cellar, Greenwood X1200, Stone X1500, Hemp Rope X600, Metal Parts X50. Ability, Constant temperature. Can maintain a stable temperature inside the room. Description, you can use it to store items, or as a secret room, treasury, etc. The cellar is pretty good. He could just put the territory's wine barrels in the cellar, which would also free up a room. Stone slab, Stone X3. Description, made from processed rough stone, can be used for paving roads. He put away the two blueprints and materials, and the large team continued to move forward. After another half hour of travel, The group finally approached their destination, only separated from the dragon burial ground by one mountain. My lord, behind the mountain is the location on the map. There is a tunnel entrance ahead, which should lead to the dragon burial ground. Bolton continued to lead the way at the front. The location the pigmen explored also stopped here. Their task was completed, so they didn't risk going further in. Fang Hao nodded, indicating that he understood. Everyone followed Bolton forward and arrived directly at the entrance he mentioned. The entrance to the cave was very large, about 5 or 6 meters high and about 5 meters wide. The edges of the entrance were reinforced with stone bricks, and there were ruins and remnants of buildings on the ground in both sides. Because of the long passage of time, they had merged with the surrounding environment and become one with the mountains. That it seemed that this place was specially constructed by humans. All right, let's go in. Bolton, follow behind the team. If there's danger, retreat first. Fang Hao instructed. Bolton didn't have much combat power. His biggest role was just leading the way. The main combat force was the skeleton army, and Jia, the hero. Okay, my lord, Bolton replied. The large team began to enter the tunnel, and the light instantly dimmed. He took out a luminous stone from his backpack, emitting a faint glow, providing illumination. Just a few steps forward, the soul fire in Fang Hao's eye socket suddenly trembled. With the light of the luminous stone, he could see that there were grayish-white crystals on both sides of the cave. Fang Hao was too familiar with this kind of crystal. Shadow stone. The Lord's Manor had been upgraded to a level 5 Lord's Stone building. Aside from special buildings, all other buildings had also met the construction requirements. However, due to the shortage of Shadow Stone, many Undead faction buildings had been delayed in upgrading. He had also directly called out in the channel to acquire Shadow Stone, but the number of people willing to trade was still very small. He hadn't received many over several days. Now, with the appearance of Shadow Stone in this cave, and quite a bit of it, an irrepressible joy rose in his heart. Even the headache from using divine descent was greatly alleviated. Collect the materials along the way. The width of the cave was limited, so Fang Hao didn't let the team spread out to collect. While moving forward, he collected all the Shadow Stone he encountered along the way. After traveling a certain distance, the number of Shadow Stone had already reached 27 pieces. Fang Hao put all the Shadow Stone into his backpack and began to ponder. Logically, Shadow Stone should only appear in ancient tombs, mass graves, and places with extremely dense death energy. And yet, a simple mountain path connected to the dragon burial cave had produced so much Shadow Stone. Did a dragon really die inside? Otherwise, where would such dense death energy come from? Just as Fang Hao was contemplating the possible situations here, and Jia's furry beast ears twitched slightly, and her sharp gaze focused on the dim cave ahead. Looking closely, one could discern a difference in the shadows. In the darkness, like viscous ink, something was rapidly approaching them bit by bit. Danger, Jia said in a low voice. Fang Hao suddenly looked up. He also noticed the rapidly spreading black shadow. Ahead. Phantom, Tier 8. It was indeed a monster, and a Tier 8 unit at that. Prepare for battle, Fang Hao ordered. Swish, swish, swish. All the skeletons immediately drew their weapons, but still seemed unaware of the target, standing in place in confusion. Soon, the phantoms rushed to the front of the team. The next second, exaggerated shadows, like human creatures, ferociously pounced on the skeleton team, launching their attack. The moment the shadows solidified, the skeletons also spotted their targets and began to counterattack. These phantoms were different from the little phantom, Little Yu. Although Little Yu was a soul body, her facial features and body structure were clearly visible. The phantoms in front of them, however, were more like the ghosts from horror stories. They only had a human outline, no facial features on their heads. Their entire bodies seemed to be composed of black shadows, and they were shrouded in death energy. From their faceless countenances came angry roars as they frantically attacked their targets. Within this limited space, a fierce battle ensued. Under the absolute suppression of numbers, the battle ended a few minutes later. After the phantoms were eliminated, their bodies dissipated on the spot. They dropped some special materials. Trace of death 3. These materials, named Trace of Something or Essence of Something, were all special materials that could be used to build structures and recruit. special units. Their value was even higher than some ordinary blueprints. All right, keep moving forward, and keep an eye out for Shadowstone around you. Fang Hao ordered the team to continue advancing. The large team continued to move forward. Along the way, they encountered several more attacks from Phantom. The tier of the Phantoms was not fixed. Some were as low as tier 3 or 4, while the higher ones were in the tier 7 or 8 range. This allowed him to collect quite a bit of Trace of Death, which was a considerable gain. This tunnel was even longer than Fang Hao had imagined. He wondered who had dug this tunnel and possessed such power. Even in the modern world, this would be a massive project, requiring large machinery and equipment. As the team slowly went deeper, the tunnel began to narrow. From the beginning, where several people could walk side by side, it became only wide enough for 2 people to pass at a time. This made the already cramped environment even more oppressive. Bang! And Jia punched through a phantom that attempted to get close. The skeleton soldiers also hacked the approaching phantoms to death with their swords. Finally, as they continued to push forward, an opening appeared ahead, along with bright sunlight. They were finally going to get out, having collected so much shadow stone and encountered phantoms repeatedly along the way. Fang Hao was filled with curiosity about this dragon burial cave. As they walked out of the dark cave, their surroundings instantly brightened. And the next second, when everyone saw the scene before them, they couldn't help but show expressions of surprise. It turned out that Fang Hao and the others had not passed through the entire mountain range. Instead, they had entered the belly of the mountain. Ahead, it was like a giant basin, with towering mountain walls surrounding a depression in the middle. And in the center of the basin was a massive dragon skeleton. The ground beneath the dragon skeleton was blood red, as if stained, and many shadow units were gathered around it. Phantom. Tier 7, Shadow Leopard. Tier 6, Corrupted Corpse. Tier 4. All sorts of monsters were gathered around the dragon skeleton. A dragon really died here. And Jia exclaimed from the side. Dragons had always been synonymous with power, their fearsome reputation preceding them. Everyone had heard stories or legends about them, but very few people had ever seen a real dragon. Jia was the same. Seeing such a massive dragon skeleton, her eyes were filled with curiosity and excitement. Yes, not bad, Fang Hao said calmly, but the soul fire in his eye sockets kept flickering, showing his excitement. If this dragon skeleton could be taken back, it would give the territory's military strength a leap forward. And then, just look at it. And Jia asked, do you even need to ask? Fang Hao looked at the undead army pouring out of the cave and directly ordered, kill all the enemies. Clang, clang, clang. Hearing the command, the skeleton army rushed towards the enemy like a tide, and from the cave behind them, new skeleton soldiers kept appearing, a continuous stream, rushing towards the enemy. Whoosh. Suddenly, a sound of something cutting through the air was heard. A cold glint flew towards Fang Hao's head. Clang, and Jia punched out, and the tiger claws on her hand knocked the cold glint away, sending it spinning several times before it embedded itself in the rock wall nearby. It was a dagger. Only then, after the fact, did Fang Hao take a step back. Using divine descent from a distance made Fang Hao's movements appear as slow as if they had extremely high latency. Even if he detected the attack, it was difficult to control the skeletons to dodge. Fortunately, and Jia was powerful, otherwise that dagger would have been embedded in his head. He looked back in the direction the dagger had come from. Standing there was a woman completely shrouded in darkness. Being completely dark, it was difficult to see her features, but certain physical characteristics still indicated that she was a female. Infested elf. Green tier 9 hero. An elf. No wonder her figure was so good. At the same time, this was the first monster with hero strength that Fang Hao had encountered on this journey. Are you alright? And Jia asked. I'm fine. Take care of her. Finish the fight quickly. Fang Hao looked at the enemy in front of him. The infested elf's armor was already rotten, with scattered fragments still hanging on her body. A short sword was at her waist, and she held a dagger in a reverse grip, looking at the two with cold eyes. The woman's eyes were also completely black. Understood, and Jia replied, and with a step, she rushed towards the black elf like an arrow. The infested elf remained motionless, but when Jia approached, she instantly drew the short sword at her waist and counterattacked. Clang. Bang! The short sword and the tiger claws collided, making a faint clashing sound. The next second, the black elf's body was instantly sent flying backward like a cannonball, crashing into the mountain wall in the distance. Anya's strength was extraordinary. In their first exchange, the elf was sent flying backward, hitting the mountain wall behind her with a bang. Soil and rocks flew everywhere. Anya didn't hesitate for a moment. Rushing towards the opponent again, planning to press her advantage, the elf slid down the mountain wall, and just as Anya's fist was about to strike her head, her footwork shifted, her body twisted at a strange angle, evading the attack, and the short sword in her hand quickly flipped, stabbing towards Anya's ribs. This sequence of movements was smooth and incredibly agile. Anya twisted her body, also dodging the opponent's attack. Interesting, Anya revealed a smile. The next second, Anya's fists rained down like raindrops, continuously striking various parts of the elf's body. Entangled by such rapid and frequent attacks, the elf tried to break free several times but was forced back every time that the elf's body was struck multiple times, and she staggered. Anya directly unleashed her skill, Red Fang. Twisting her waist, she delivered a returning elbow strike. The immense force completely killed the infected elf. The next second, her body dissolved into a puddle of black mud. All infected beings were like puppets controlled by death, driven by darkness, using false bodies. Seeing that the battle here was over, Fang Hao also walked over and asked, "You won?" Naturally, she had some skill, but unfortunately, she met me, Anya said confidently. Anya was quite famous in ManhwaRecap. Although she was a blue tier 7 hero, her strength wasn't low, and she always troubled Bronze Bull Tarlok, annoying him greatly. Yet, he couldn't do anything about her. "Where's the body?" "What body?" "Her body was long gone," Anya said. "Ah." Fang Hao sighed slightly, but there was nothing he could do. He then said, "Hurry and help those skeletons. The sooner we finish, the sooner we can go back and eat." Okay. Anya joined the battle, quickly killing the monsters in the basin. An hour later, the battle ended. All enemies instantly dissipated after death, dropping many rare resources. The rest were skeleton soldiers from Fang Hao's side, who had fallen. White bones lay everywhere. Spread out and collect the spoils. See if there are any treasure chests, Fang Hao ordered while walking towards the dragon bones that as he approached. The massive dragon bones still brought an indescribable shock that it really was a dragon. Giant. Dragon remains type. Remains, description, the remains of a giant dragon species used as a sacrifice. The powerful physical body and the resentment of death have infected this land. Sacrifice? Seeing this word, Fang Hao's brows furrowed again. Could it be that this dragon was captured and used as some kind of sacrifice? At the same time, Fang Hao also noticed the markings on the ground. Pushing aside the dark red soil, he could see that the entire basin was a giant disc carved with complex runes that it was as if the entire giant dragon was presented on a plate. This was truly bizarre. Want to take it back? Anya walked over at this moment. She patted the dragon's skeleton with her small hand, looking like she was checking if a melon was ripe. Of course. Otherwise, what was all this effort for? Fang Hao said, having spent so much effort. Naturally, he wanted to take everything back. It was a pity about the body of that elf dark girl just now. Otherwise, it would have been even better. Can you use all of this? Why not keep a section and let Eeyore make soup for us? Anya's mind worked in mysterious ways, suddenly thinking of this. Fang Hao was slightly stunned. Dragon bones that had been dead for who knows how many years. Almost fossilized, he smacked his forehead helplessly and said, "Are you sick?" "I'm afraid of being poisoned to death." "No, just a small section. Don't be so stingy," Anya grumbled from the side. Time passed little by little. The skeletons collected all the scattered spoils. Among them, a short sword caught Fang Hao's attention. This short sword wasn't unfamiliar. It was the one the infected elf had just used. When the skeleton soldiers collected it, it even had a scabbard, making it a complete set. Looking at it now, this short sword truly looked too ornate to be a weapon. The scabbard was made of an unknown metal, with a bright white material carved with intricate patterns. The short sword's blade was sharp, and the hilt resembled a tree crown, with several roots coiled around the handle. Light feather, orange, category, short sword damage. Tier 3 damage attribute, leadership charm plus 3 dot. Skill, blessing, passive. Blessing. The wearer, living being, is immune to all negative status effects. Description, the beautiful little princess was weak and sickly, plagued by nightmares. The king summoned the kingdom's best blacksmiths and forged a dagger that could ward off disaster, which he gave to the princess, who never let it leave her side. Did Anya just kill a princess? And why would a princess appear here? It was truly perplexing. Actually, the function of this short sword was not for combat. Tier 3 damage was only at the level of a blue weapon. Instead, the leadership charm and the blessing skill elevated the short sword's attributes to the orange tier. Point 1 must know how powerful the ability to be immune to all negative status effects was. Therefore, rather than calling it a weapon, it was more like a weapon-type amulet. All in all, it could be said to be a very good treasure. Really nice. Fang Hao happily put it into his backpack. The short sword was an unexpected gain from this trip. Soon, the skeletons collected all the spoils obtained. Traces of Death 312, Traces of God 12, Star Silver 5, Darkstone 137, Dragon Crystal 12. Awesome. Too awesome that he directly obtained 137 Darkstones, which had been tormenting him. This was simply a huge surprise. Having been in this world for so long, this was the first time he had obtained so many Darkstones. Besides Darkstone, there was also a new material called Dragon Crystal, which was found around the dragon bones. Just as Fang Hao was feeling delighted about obtaining so many materials, Bolton walked over and said, "Lord, you'd better come over here. There's a statue of a god." The entire basin covered a large area. Standing on the mountain, one could see the general outline of the basin, but being inside the basin, coupled with the tall, strange rock totems, blocked much of the view. "Lead the way," Fang Hao said. Bolton nodded and led the way. Finally, Fang Hao and the others saw the statue of the god that Bolton mentioned. This was a huge stone statue, about 10 meters tall. The figure carved had a human body, but its face was ferocious and terrifying. Its upper body was bare, exposing its knotted muscles. It held a giant club high in its hand, looking like it was about to swing and kill. "Troll," Fang Hao said subconsciously. The first impression the statue gave Fang Hao was not that of a strong human. Instead, it gave him a feeling similar to an ogre. Killing god statue. Blue. Category. Special building effect. Attack plus 10%. Skill recovery speed plus 10%. Description. The god of killing will bless this territory. All combat units will feel pain and slaughter. In the territory, there is a statue of a fertility god, an image of a female deity. After construction, there are bonuses to gathering and planting. Unlike the effects of the slaughter statue in front of us, the form is the same, providing attribute bonuses to the forces that built the statue. It's a pity that this statue was carved into the mountain wall and cannot be taken away at all. Otherwise, this statue could also be moved back. "My lord, there is also a treasure chest here, and a smoother road has been found ahead that leads to the outside." Bolton continued. "Okay, Bolton, have the skeletons bring all the carts over, so we can load up and leave," Fang Hao said. "Yes, my lord." Bolton responded and led a team of skeletons out. After Bolton left, Fang Hao shook his head slightly. He was very dissatisfied with the golden treasure chest in front of him. Such a big battle, so many monsters. How could it still be a golden treasure chest in the end? But he had no choice that he couldn't just leave it. He had to choose to open it. Obtained. Slaughter statue construction blueprint. Blue. Ogre heavy armor production blueprint. Green. Ogre iron helmet production blueprint. Green. Ogre war boots production blueprint. Green. Unnamed map. Ogre stone plus 12. The rewards from the treasure chest are somewhat related to the battle location. Even if it cannot be determined exactly what happened here, obtaining so many blueprints and ogre stones related to ogres can infer some connection to ogres. But it doesn't matter. It's unknown how many years this place has been abandoned, and whether it's related to ogres or not is not important to him. Anyway, he got the dragon bones, and his goal for today has been achieved. Not to mention, he also got so many shadow stones and light feather daggers. Alas, what a pity about that elf corpse. I haven't seen a female skeleton yet. After calming down, he checked the obtained blueprints. Slaughter statue. blue wood 350, stone 1200, natural gem 5, magic essence 2, traces of battle 3, traces of violence. 3. Description: the god of slaughter will bless this territory, and all combat units will feel pain and slaughter. Needless to say, this is the blueprint for the huge statue in front of him. Different from the fertility goddess. The fertility goddess is a human goddess image, which gives a pleasing feeling when placed in the territory. The image of this slaughter statue is a bit nasty. Even children would be scared to cry, but it can't not be built. The attributes increased by the slaughter statue are still very good. It increases the attack power of combat units by 10% and skill recovery by 10%. The skills of the units should refer to shield strike and the charge of the cavalry. Another point is the other orange blueprint in the Lord's book. Wishing pool construction blueprint. A fixed amount of basic resources can be consumed each week to make a wish, with a probability of obtaining a wish reward. The prerequisite building for the wishing pool is 4 statues. The slaughter statue is the territory's second statue building and must be built. Ogre heavy armor production blueprint, green. Ogre iron helmet production blueprint, green. Ogre war boots production blueprint, green. These 3 are all ogre equipment. Ogre heavy armor, iron plate 8. Cast iron block 3, thick tough, leather 5. Ogre iron helmet, iron plate 5. Cast iron block 2, thick tough, leather 3. Ogre war boots, iron plate 6. Cast iron block 3, thick tough, leather 4. These 3 pieces of equipment, judging by the name, are ogre equipment. It's just right to replace the equipment for his skeleton ogre. Currently, the skeleton ogre's armor is made by the rabbit girls connecting small iron shields with ropes and tying them to the skeleton ogre's bones. Adding a round shield to the huge body is like a moving target. It doesn't look good but barely provides some defense. Now that he has this set of equipment, it's just right to equip the skeleton ogre and get rid of the small round shields. Unnamed map category. Single-page map. Description: the map marks an unknown area. Fang Hao looked at it and casually put it in his backpack. When he goes back and integrates it into the large map, he will be able to find the location. Right now, Fang Hao doesn't understand what's drawn on this map at all. After checking the rewarded items, Bolton led the skeletons, pushing the carts over from the main road. My lord, this road can go out. The small road we just took is not the main road. Bolton pointed to the road leading outside. That's good. We'll take this road in a while, Fang Hao said. Bolton nodded. Fang Hao once again gave orders to all the skeletons, saying, separate the dragon bones and load them onto the carts. The dragon bone skeleton is huge and needs to be loaded onto the carts in sections. The skeletons busied themselves, loading the huge dragon bones onto the carts and tying them tightly with ropes. Fang Hao walked around the entire basin, and after seeing that nothing was left behind, he ordered a return. The convoy filled with bones was like a long dragon. The larger bones even needed to be carried by several skeletons as they began to advance towards the pigman village. It was nearly dusk when they returned to the pigman village. The afterglow of the setting sun cast a long shadow on the convoy. Fang Hao canceled the divine descent state, sat up from the bed, and felt a burst of dizziness. This divine descent was an overload for him that if he hadn't received generous rewards and maintained a state of excitement, he probably wouldn't have been able to withstand the headache and cancel the state sooner. He closed his eyes and rested for a while before sitting up from the bed. He picked up his staff and walked out of the room. My lord, has the team returned? Just as he walked out of the room, Petty walked over to inquire. Yes, the team won't stop in the village and will go straight back. Fang Hao said that it was indeed a bit late, and there was still a distance to go back. Okay, my lord. Do you need me to arrange horses for you? Petty continued. No need. Then I will arrange for some pigman warriors and skeleton warriors to escort you to join the convoy. Petty arranged for some pigman warriors and some skeleton warriors to escort Fang Hao. After joining the convoy, the main force continued back to the territory point. 2 hours later, the convoy smoothly entered the city gate. Ayer began to prepare dinner, while Fang Hao took the dragon bones directly to the transformation ground. Cart after cart of huge dragon bones were thrown into the transformation ground. The transformation pool, like a swamp, devoured the piled-up skeletons, slowly sinking them little by little at the same time. A countdown appeared on the skeleton transformation ground. Transformation. Time, 7 hours. 59 minutes. This was the longest transformation time for Fang Hao among all the species he had transformed. It actually takes 8 hours. Not to mention transforming. If it were before, the obstetrics department would have delivered several babies. And you're taking so long to transform one. After complaining, Fang Hao went to build the blueprints he obtained today. A total of 2 construction blueprints were obtained. Cellar construction blueprint, slaughter statue construction blueprint. First, he came to the place where the fertility goddess statue was built and chose to build the slaughter statue 2 meters away. Fang Hao didn't quite understand any design. He just built some similar or related buildings together. It wouldn't look too chaotic. Slaughter statue, blue wood 350, stone 1200, natural gem 5, magic essence 2, traces of battle 3, traces of violence 3. Built. A blue light appeared, slowly constructing the outline of the statue. After 5 minutes, the light dissipated. A smaller version of the statue from the dragon burial cave appeared in front of Fang Hao. At the same time, a red halo spread from the center of the statue, covering the entire territory. All combat units in the territory received the blessing of the slaughter statue, and their combat power and skill recovery were increased by 10%. The statue of slaughter has been built. The buffs also instantly applied to all troop units. Although its appearance was a bit lacking, the effect was quite good. Next, Fang Hao continued towards the undead building area to upgrade buildings that he had gained quite a bit of shadow stone today, which was perfect for upgrading the undead buildings that hadn't been upgraded yet. First was the underground cemetery. The underground cemetery could recruit laborer skeletons. Laborer skeletons were the foundation of territory construction. All resource extraction relied on laborer skeletons. Their role was no less important than combat units. At level 5 underground cemetery. With 2,000, stone 2,500, hemp rope 320, hardwood 400, stone brick 300, shadow stone 10. Upgrade. Level 5 underground cemetery recruitment limit. 3050 recruitable. Skeleton free. Note: labor units for basic work can be recruited at this building. Materials required for upgrade. Wood 3,500, stone 3,200, hardwood 750, stone. Brick 600, iron 200, shadow stone 20. After upgrading to level 5, the recruitment limit directly increased by 20. Recruit. Hundredfold amplification triggered. Recruited skeletons 2020. 2,000 laborer skeletons appeared. Fang Hao instructed them to get tools from the warehouse and assign them to various positions. Next was the corridor of the dead. Level 5 corridor of the dead. Wood 3,200, stone 3,800, hemp rope 450, hardwood 500, stone brick 450, shadow stone 35. Upgrade. Level 5 corridor of the dead recruitable. Skeleton scout, skeleton rider, skeleton scout. Wriggling spine 2, skeleton rider. Wriggling spine 3. Note: cavalry of the corresponding faction can be recruited at this building. Increasing the building level can unlock new soldier types and higher tiers. Materials required for upgrade. Wood 4,500, stone 4,200, hemp rope 500, hardwood 1,200, stone brick 900, iron 220, shadow stone 50. The corridor of the dead corresponds to the cavalry training camp. This time, upgrading to level 5 also added a new unit, the skeleton rider. Fang Hao didn't recruit immediately. The troops in the territory were a bit saturated. It wasn't too late to recruit when needed. According to the recruitment rules, requiring 3 wriggling spines indicated that a tier 3 unit had appeared. Next, Fang Hao continued to upgrade the undead mage tower. Unfortunately, no new unit appeared in the undead mage tower. It still only had the undead mage. Having finished upgrading the undead faction buildings, Fang Hao continued towards the Lord's Stone Manor, intending to build a cellar. Just as he walked into the hall, he saw busy in the kitchen, wearing a maid outfit. Her full bosom was about to spill out, and her fair, long legs were exposed. They didn't have the strange ideas of modern people. They just knew this outfit was beautiful, and what girl didn't like pretty clothes? Was preparing dinner, and Njia was following behind, constantly talking about the day's battle, from the stone golems all the way to the tall troll stone statues. Seeing Fang Hao walk over, she immediately blocked his path. Where's the dragon bone? Give me a piece, and let Ear make soup for us. She still hadn't forgotten about making soup with dragon bone. Fang Hao extended his index finger towards her. No more dragon bone. Suck on this. There's still a little bone flavor. And Jia's eyes widened, and she bared her silver teeth, lunging towards Fang Hao's finger. Fang Hao instinctively recoiled, dodging her attack. Seeing that Jia was genuinely getting angry, he quickly said, "Just kidding. Today's harvest was good. Let Ear make some more delicious food, and we'll celebrate." How about that? Today was indeed full of gains. Light feather orange short sword, a large amount of shadow stone, traces of death, and several equipment blueprints. Most importantly, he obtained the long-desired dragon bone that it was perfectly reasonable for everyone to celebrate. And Jia put her hands on her hips and huffed angrily. "Ear, please make a couple more dishes," Fang Hao said to Ear. Also smiled. "Okay, master." Then, Jia started ordering dishes, saying what food she liked. Fang Hao, meanwhile, opened the Lord's book and found the cellar blueprint in the building section. Cellar. Greenwood 1200, stone 1500, hemp rope 600, metal parts 50. As he selected the blueprint, a prompt appeared. Build location. Below the Lord's stone manor. Build. Yes. Immediately after, a staircase leading downwards appeared near the stairs of the stone manor. It led to the newly completed cellar. The level 1 cellar ability. Constant temperature. Can maintain a stable temperature. In the room. Description: you can use it to store items, or as a secret room, treasury, etc. Required for upgrade. Wood 1800, stone 2200, hemp rope 850, metal parts 75. Fang Hao took out a piece of luminous stone and went down into the cellar. The level 1 cellar was just one room, about 20 square meters. With ample materials, Fang Hao directly upgraded it to level 5. That its name also changed from cellar to basement. The number of rooms instantly increased to 5, and a second basement level also appeared. Fang Hao walked back up to the first floor and stood at the top of the stairs, saying, "Jia, take a few skeletons and move the wine barrels down to the cellar." "Huh? It's almost time to eat," and Jia was a bit reluctant. "Hurry up. When you're done, it'll be just in time for dinner." "All right." And Jia walked out, called a few skeleton soldiers, and had them carry the wine barrels down to the basement. The cellar had a constant temperature function, making it perfect for storing wine. The other rooms could also serve as storage rooms for the Lord's manor, keeping some daily necessities, fruits, and vegetables. They could also act as secret rooms to store the rare resources and war coins Fang Hao had accumulated during this period. After everything was done, Ear had also prepared dinner. The three of them sat at the dining table, chatting and eating. Fang Hao also opened the Lord's book to see everyone's recent progress, but as soon as he opened it, he noticed that some conflict seemed to be happening. In the chat channel. Everyone, pay attention. Exposing a scammer, Lu Yin. Absolutely do not trade with him. He is a complete fraud, a scammer who even scams his own people in this world. Stop your damn nonsense. What I put on the shelf was just ordinary water. Who told you to exchange without even looking? I advise you to go see an ophthalmologist first. You told me you bought the spring of rejuvenation from Boss Fang Hao. I was planning to heal my villagers' injuries. You damn swapped it with ordinary water. Give me back my blueprint. Give you back my ass. What does it matter to Daddy if your villagers die or not? Stop bothering me. If you keep spouting nonsense in the channel, Daddy will send troops to wipe you out. Wipe me out. Do you dare to reveal our maps to each other and have a real fight? Heh, I won't. Daddy exchanged ordinary water for a blueprint, feeling great. Piss off the monkey. Fang Hao's spring of rejuvenation had always sold well in the channel. Due to the limited production quantity of the spring of rejuvenation well, and the fact that only one special building of its kind could be built, so the amount sold each day was also limited. There were quite a few resellers who would snap some up and sell them at a higher price when they encountered someone with urgent injuries. And this Lu Yin was even more hateful than the resellers. During the trade, he swapped the listed spring of rejuvenation with ordinary water, scamming the other party out of some blueprint. What Lu Yin did was indeed unscrupulous. Buying the spring of rejuvenation was a matter related to life and death. You Little bastard, you just wait. Don't let me find out where you are. Stupid idiot. Just as the two were arguing fiercely, a barrage of messages flooded the screen, interrupting their conversation. Azure Dragon Mutual Aid Chamber of Commerce established. From today onwards, we will sell all kinds of tools, materials, equipment, and other items to everyone in the channel. We sincerely invite ambitious individuals in the region to join and build a glorious future together. Azure Dragon Mutual Aid Chamber of Commerce established. Build a glorious future together. Azure Dragon Mutual Aid Chamber of Commerce established. Build a glorious future together. Several identical messages were sent consecutively, like a screen-clearing flood. Everyone had been in this world for some time now, but it was the first time they had seen a group forming an alliance. This mutual aid chamber of commerce, to be fair, had some potential. After all, in this dangerous world, finding a group and a backer was a good idea. Can your chamber of commerce sell things cheaper than boss Fang Hao? He sold tens of thousands of sets of equipment in one go a few days ago. Can any of your chambers of commerce do that? TCH, that kid Fang Hao just had an advantage at the beginning. He's long since declined now. Exactly. The equipment he sold a few days ago, I looked at it. It was all white-grade junk. Who knows where he dug it up from? Our internal members in the Chamber of Commerce are already starting to equip green-grade equipment. And you still keep calling him Boss Fang Hao. Are you addicted to being a son? Fang Hao's era is over. The next era belongs to our Azure Dragon Chamber of Commerce. If you want to join, you can enjoy discounted prices, and buying goods will be much cheaper. That's a bit much, isn't it? Fang Hao has helped quite a few people. Why are you attacking others when you're just selling goods? Look, Fang Hao's filial son has appeared. It hurts not to be a son. The appearance of the Azure Dragon Mutual Aid Chamber of Commerce caused chaos in the channel. Immediately after announcing the establishment of the chamber, instead of selling goods, they began a seemingly premeditated attack on Fang Hao and those who spoke up for him. The Azure Dragon Chamber of Commerce had many people and had made sufficient preparations beforehand, instantly gaining the upper hand in words. Many people couldn't out-argue them, nor could they out-curse them. It was clear that the other party formed this Chamber of Commerce precisely to break away from buying items from Fang Hao. They also weren't afraid that Fang Hao would use the trade blacklist to restrict their transactions. They cursed Fang Hao without any psychological burden. Yeah, we are targeting Fang Hao. So what? If you've got the guts, tell Fang Hao to come bite me at my territory. You people, even if you want to be Fang Hao's dogs, he wouldn't even look at you. Just as the channel was in chaos, the system's voice suddenly rang out. Random event. Lord's Contest accepted. New functions unlocked in the Lord's Book. Alliance System. Alliance Chat Channel. Photo Function. Event Mission. Lord's Attack. Peripheral Lord locations are now instantly visible. All Lords can view the locations of nearby Lord territories on the Lord's Book. Map page. Event time. 23 hours 59 minutes. Good luck? Asterisk. As soon as the system prompt appeared, the entire regional channel instantly fell silent. Not a single new message appeared in the channel that had just been buzzing with insults. The second-to-last message, like a public execution, remained frozen there. Everyone understood that in this world without legal restrictions. As time passed and territories expanded, everyone was a competitor, but most people still maintained restraint towards each other, quietly developing their own territories. Even when disagreements arose, they would vent in the Lord's Book. Since no one knew the location of the other's territory, their own safety was guaranteed. Now it's different. Within 24 hours, the locations of nearby territories can be seen. Who knows who they are neighbors with? There are many people who transmigrated at the same time. What if the person next to you is a hot-headed guy? Or what if someone you have a grudge against buys the location of your territory? After the prompt appeared, everyone felt uneasy, recalling whether they had offended anyone and if that person would come looking for trouble. Ahem. Brother, it was all a misunderstanding just now. I happen to have a spring of rejuvenation here. I'll trade it to you. All right, we're all from Earth. Let's get along. Right. I've set up a specified trade. I'll add 5 more units of meat for you to nourish your injured villagers. Okay. The two people who were just arguing heatedly suddenly became mutually supportive. Their change in attitude so sudden it was hard to react. The others also spoke up in the channel at this moment. I haven't offended anyone, and my territory doesn't have many resources. Please, big shots, spare me. There are lots of monsters near my territory. No one's going to attack me, right? I don't think everyone needs to worry that if someone really wants to attack a territory, they have to consider whether they can win after sending troops, or if their home base will be raided while they're out. This task isn't mandatory. Everyone should still maintain restraint. Right, right. Everyone needs to maintain restraint. This isn't a mandatory task. Holy shit. Why is my heart beating so fast? No, I have to be careful. After receiving the task, Fang Hao immediately checked the map in the Lord's book. Sure enough, 2 special markers appeared on the large territory map. That it seems this kind of marker explores a certain range centered around one's own territory. And the territories within that range will be marked on the map. Point 1 was to the east, and 1 was to the west. The one to the east was Zhang Bin's territory, which he had passed by more than once. The territory to the west belonged to a lord named Li Teng. Fang Hao just looked. He had no intention of attacking either of them. First, he was confident in his own strength, and second, there was the threat of the Skull Crusher tribe. As long as the 2 of them didn't court death, he was too lazy to bother with them. But if he wanted to occupy their territories, Fang Hao could do so anytime. How could a territory with 30 or 20 soldiers compete with his tens of thousands? They weren't on the same level at all. Just as he closed the map, Fang Hao's private messages started popping up one after another. Big shot, quick, buy 20 iron spears, 20 sets of leather armor. Brother Fang Hao, I want to buy iron swords, 30 of them. Big shot Fang Hao, give me 20 sets of leather gear. It seems this sudden event brought considerable pressure to everyone. The stream of private messages buying equipment showed everyone's tension. Since there were too many private messages, and Fang Hao only had 20 chat opportunities, it wasn't enough to reply to everyone. That he simply made specified trades directly to the other parties without replying to all of them. After finishing the private messages, Fang Hao thought about it and felt this was a good opportunity to make a fortune. That he quickly finished his meal and walked directly out of the Lord's Stone building. He crafted 30,000 sets each of iron swords, iron spears, and leather armor, plus the equipment obtained from annihilating the Knoll tribe, and put it all up on the regional channel. Besides exchanging for resources, the main goal was blueprints. Holy crap! Big shot Fang Hao does big business. He sells tens of thousands at a time, every time. Too bad. Big shot Fang Hao doesn't have green equipment here. I should buy some. If someone goes crazy and comes looking for trouble, I can protect myself. Indeed, this is also a problem. At the same time, located west of Fang Hao's territory, Li Teng clenched his fists, looking at the territory that suddenly appeared on the map, his eyes revealing madness and viciousness. He directly opened the alliance channel. My territory is near Fang Hao's. If everyone gives me some support, I will send out troops tomorrow morning and take care of Fang Hao directly. Li Teng's enmity with Fang Hao was somewhat comical. Last time someone verbally attacked Fang Hao in the channel, he also said something sarcastic in the channel. Coincidentally, Fang Hao, who had just opened the channel, saw it and directly added him to the prohibited trade list. Later, the few people who were restricted formed this Azure Dragon Chamber of Commerce. Besides supporting each other, they also had a common enemy, which was Fang Hao. When he found Fang Hao's territory appearing on his map, he decided to seize this opportunity to directly eliminate Fang Hao. Really? What kind of support are you planning to ask for? We don't know Fang Hao's strength. He's been listing equipment in tens of thousands for the past few days. He's probably a tough nut to crack. Heh, you don't really think Fang Hao has over 10,000 soldiers, do you? He must have had some special opportunity to get so much damaged equipment. Didn't you see the group chat saying the equipment was used? Li Teng looked at the argument in the Alliance channel and said directly, "Gather 200 soul crystals for me, and as much iron resource as possible. I am confident I can destroy Fang Hao." After speaking, Li Teng sent a photo and a unit illustration greatsword infantry, tier 4. In the channel, Li Teng was not blindly confident. He genuinely possessed a certain level of strength. While most people in the channel were still at tier 2 or 3 Lord's Manor, he had already upgraded to tier 4. Furthermore, through an opportunity, he obtained a building that could recruit tier 4 greatsword infantry that if Fang Hao hadn't been too dazzling, Li Teng would have been the undisputed chosen one. Li Teng, you actually have tier 4 units? Why didn't you say so earlier? Oh my, Brother Ting is amazing. With tier 4 units, destroying Fang Hao is a piece of cake. Seeing the tier 4 units, everyone's tone immediately became fawning. Li Teng continued. Let's not waste words. Are you willing to gather soul crystals and iron resources for me? If you have powerful equipment, trade it to me first. After occupying Fang Hao's territory, the spoils of war will be divided proportionally. Okay, I have 12 soul crystals here, and I'll give you 50 units of iron. I have some here too. Everyone started pooling resources, waiting to take down Fang Hao, the number 1 in the region, and divide his resources. Early the next morning, Fang Hao opened his eyes on time, stretched, and rolled out of bed. Just as he walked out the door, he saw Eeyore running in a panic. Seeing Fang Hao, she said with lingering fear, Master, over there appeared a huge monster. There was no need for Eeyore to explain, as there were no tall buildings near the skeleton conversion ground at a glance. A giant bone dragon could be seen standing there. It's okay, that's a new unit recruited by the territory, it's not dangerous. Fang Hao gently patted Eeyore's back, signaling her not to worry. Eeyore, still looking startled, whispered, Oh, then do you want me to ask Miss and Jia to go with you, in case there's any danger? No need, Fang Hao said, then walked towards the conversion ground. The closer he got to the bone dragon, the larger its body felt. When he walked beneath it, he realized that even sitting there, the bone dragon was 6 or 7 stories tall. Even though Fang Hao knew it was his unit, a sense of oppression still enveloped him. Lie down, Fang Hao commanded. The bone dragon looked at Fang Hao, bent its straight front legs, and its entire body laid down on the ground. Bone dragon, tier 10, faction, undead racial traits. Undead, hollow skeleton, light weakness. Skills, dragon might, death breath, soul reap. Innate skills, advanced flight mastery, advanced combat mastery, advanced defense mastery, advanced magic resistance. Dragon might, passive living creatures nearby have a 20% chance of being unable to act due to tension and an 80% chance of having their morale reduced by 15%. Soul reap, passive for each target killed. The recovery speed of the death breath skill increases by +1%. Death breath, active dragon breath, can directly drain unfortunate creatures, stealing their life. Note, skeleton units converted from corpses still retain the characteristics and attack methods they had in life. Dragons were indeed as powerful as imagined. Even after being converted, it still reached tier 10. It surpassed the skeleton troll in status, becoming the strongest unit under Fang Hao. And in Fang Hao's heart, the bone dragon was not only a powerful unit, but also a long-desired mount. As the territory gradually expanded, the explorations to various locations in the past few times required several hours of travel. Nothing got done, and time was wasted on the road. In past films and TV shows, there was always the profession of a dragon rider, who was not only powerful in combat, but also a qualified mount. However, the bone dragon in front of him was even bigger, lying there like a small passenger plane. Never mind one person, it could probably carry over a dozen without a problem. It's just, Fang Hao touched the bone dragon's body and began to worry. Even if he gritted his teeth and sat on the skeleton, would his small body not fall out through the gaps in the skeleton when flying? He might even need a parachute or something. In that case, he'd rather walk. No need to court death. He grumbled inwardly, but his mind quickly began to think of solutions. The dragon was dead, but the person was alive. He was determined to ride this dragon today. There were also skeleton mounts in the territory. How were those mounts ridden? Saddle. Fang Hao suddenly thought of saddles. With a saddle, the weakness of skeleton mounts being difficult to ride could be perfectly solved. However, a saddle would definitely not fit the bone dragon's body size. So Fang Hao immediately thought of another item. Mammoth Construct Troop Saddle. The Mammoth Construct Troop Saddle was obtained from the Pit Tomb Passage exploration last time, and he hadn't had a place to use it. Only it was most likely suitable for the bone dragon. I'll know if I try. Fang Hao opened the Lord's Book and crafted it directly. Mammoth Construct Troop Saddle. Hardwood 220. Thick leather 850. Iron 300, metal parts 120. Craft. Hundredfold augmentation triggered. Obtain mammoth construct troop, saddle 101. Light flashed, and 101 giant saddles appeared in the open space in front of him. The troop saddle was different from an ordinary saddle. It was very large. Wait, here for a bit, don't wander around. Fang Hao patted the bone dragon and instructed. The bone dragon's body was too large. Letting it move around in the territory would likely cause quite a bit of trouble. Fang Hao walked out of the conversion. Ground area, found 6 skeleton warriors, and the blacksmith from the blacksmith shop. My lord, do you have any orders? Ku Lin, the blacksmith captain, saluted and asked. Bring a few people and come with me. I have some work here. See if you can handle it, Fang Hao said. Yes, my lord. Ku Lin brought 2 blacksmiths and followed. Fang Hao away. In front of the bone dragon. Fang Hao had the skeleton warriors drape a troop saddle over the bone dragon's body. The length was just right, but the local dimensions needed some adjustment. Ku Lin, you guys handle the troop saddle a bit so the bone dragon can use it, Fang Hao said. Yes, my lord. It's simple, Ku Lin replied, and brought a few blacksmiths with tools to start adjusting it. Before long, the troop saddle fit the bone dragon's body. My lord, it's ready. You can go up and try it, Ku Lin said. The bone dragon voluntarily lowered its body, making it easier for Fang Hao to get on. The troop saddle was not a single riding saddle, besides the control position at the very front. There were also 2 rows of a total of 6 seats behind it. It could seat a total of 7 people. He fixed the reins to the bone dragon's neck, gripping them tightly in his hand. He took a deep breath and said, Let's go. Take a spin. The bone dragon lifted its body, pushed off the ground with its feet, spread its wings, and soared directly into the sky. The wind roared, and Fang Hao gripped the reins tightly. Holy crap! Fang Hao could clearly feel the trembling of his facial muscles. It was as if there were a pair of strong hands constantly kneading them. Aside from the inertia from the initial takeoff, once it flew into the sky, the giant wings spread out, and it gradually became stable. The clear blue sky, the clouds. Within reach, this feeling was really good. Fang Hao shouted loudly. Huh? Burp. He was full of wind. The bone dragon circled above the territory, where he could see the hard-working laborer skeletons and the patrolling skeleton warriors below. He could even see the pigman village in the distance and Zhongbin's territory, which he had passed by several times. All right, let's go down. Fang Hao leaned forward and patted the bone dragon's neck. Receiving the command, the bone dragon folded its wings and immediately swooped down into the territory. Holy crap! Gagging sounds. Landing successfully, Fang Hao jumped off the bone dragon, holding onto the bone dragon's body, feeling a bit dizzy. Next time, take off and land slower, more gently. The bone dragon, reaching tier 10, had slightly higher intelligence than ordinary units. It seemed to understand Fang Hao's words, as its giant head slightly nodded. Outside the city, Fang Hao marked out a large open space to serve as a temporary resting area for the bone dragon. After all, the bone dragon's body was too big. Letting it move around freely within the territory could easily cause some danger and damage. After seeing the converted bone dragon, the gloom caused by the Skullcrusher tribe also dissipated a lot. With the bone dragon, even if the Skullcrusher tribe was stronger, he had the ability to resist and counterattack. After finishing everything, Fang Hao walked back to the Lord's mansion to prepare for breakfast or brought up the abundant food. Just as Fang Hao took his first bite, the Lord's book gave a notification. In the regional channel. At Fang Hao, you little brat Fang Hao, wash your neck and wait for death. I'm coming to kill you now. After saying that, he also attached the illustration of a tier 4 unit, Greatsword Infantry, tier 4, and a photo of over 60 soldiers holding Greatswords. As soon as the tier 4 unit appeared, the channel instantly erupted in an uproar. Holy crap, tier 4 unit. How is this possible? Didn't everyone say yesterday that we should stay calm? Why are 2 big shots clashing this morning? I've long found Fang Hao an eyesore. Finally, someone is willing to stand up, eliminate this public nuisance, and get rid of this unscrupulous merchant. Exactly. Fang Hao is a swindler, controlling the market and its prices. He deserves to die long ago. I support Boss Li Tung in destroying Fang Hao. Exactly. We all support you in destroying Fang Hao the swindler. In the channel, messages one after another were verbally attacking Fang Hao. Some who wanted to speak up for Fang Hao, intimidated by the strength of Li Ting's troops, silently deleted the words they had typed and chose to remain silent. You guys are too shameless. Don't think everyone can't tell that you few are the ones who spammed the channel yesterday to establish the Azure Dragon Chamber of Commerce. You want to destroy boss Fang Hao and monopolize the market, right? Everyone knows who the swindler is and who deserves to die. Just when everyone was getting worked up with their insults, a voice broke the original formation. The speaker was not a stranger, but Dong Jieyue, who had been recovering from injuries and had rarely appeared recently. Oh, this kid Fang Hao even has a little woman. Where's Fang Hao? He's acting like a coward, letting a woman speak for him. Exactly. Where did his previous arrogance go? Dong Jieyue speaking up for Fang Hao instantly made her a target for those attacking him. Like mad dogs, they unleashed all sorts of ridicule and insults. There were no forbidden words in the chat of this world, and all sorts of unpleasant words. Attacked Fang Hao and Dong Jieyue at this moment. Li Tung spoke again. Fang Hao, you only have a few hours left to live. Enjoy it well. After my army and I finish breakfast, it will be your death day. It was still morning. The troops also needed to eat and drink their fill before going to the battlefield. Otherwise, their loyalty would decrease, and it would be easy for mistakes to occur. Adding the travel time, it would still be a few hours before they reached Fang Hao's territory. Fang Hao's face gradually darkened as he watched the chat in the channel. He didn't remember having any grudges with this Li Tung, but since the other party believed he was easy to bully and a fat sheep, he had nothing more to say. He could only destroy him to serve as a warning to everyone in the channel. Fang Hao just preferred not to speak. He wasn't easy to bully. He said directly, "No need to trouble yourself. I'll come to you and see how you kill me." Fang Hao didn't care about Li Tung's strength at all. This was the first time he had seen someone who, in order to show off before a war, directly revealed their trump cards in the channel. Fang Hao knew his trump card was the Tier 4 Greatsword Warrior. But Li Tung didn't know what Fang Hao's trump cards were. Therefore, Fang Hao didn't take him seriously at all, not to mention that he now had Tier 5 Skeleton Trolls and Tier 10 Bone Dragons. Even the Blazeblade tribe that Fang Hao destroyed at the very beginning was stronger than Li Tung, who gave him the courage to publicly challenge Fang Hao. "When I catch you, we'll see how tough you can be," Li Tung said. Support boss Li Tung, eradicate evil. Support boss Li Tung, destroy Fang Hao the swindler. Apart from the people from the Azure Dragon Chamber of Commerce, there was no other voice in the channel. After all, Li Tung had displayed Tier 4 troops, which exceeded their strength. Those who wanted to speak up for Fang Hao also silently closed their mouths, only able to curse these people shamelessly within their territories. Only Dong Jieyue was defending Fang Hao, her solitary rebuke appearing very weak. Fang Hao sent Dong Jieyue a message. "Li Tung is just a clown. Don't waste time on these people. Brother, Hao, I have some soul crystals here for you to expand your forces, just in case." "No need, just wait and watch the show." Closing the Lord's book, Fang Hao also finished his breakfast. After drinking a glass of fruit wine, he directly left the Lord's stone building and went to the skeleton conversion ground. Since the bone dragon was unlocked, he would summon it and also test its combat power. Bone dragon, wriggling spine 10, trace of death 7, starlight silver 5, dragon crystal 10. The reserves of trace of death and starlight silver in the warehouse were quite sufficient, but Fang Hao only had 12 dragon crystals. He could only set the recruitment quantity to 1 to hundredfold amplification triggered, recruiting 101 bone dragons. Patches of light flickered, and 101 giant bone dragons appeared in the sky above the territory. Like a dense dark cloud, they covered the sky and the sun. A huge sense of oppression enveloped the entire territory, causing all the working rabbit folk maids to tremble and almost faint. "Go to the open space outside the territory and await orders." Fang Hao said whoosh. Sounds of air breaking rang out, and all the bone dragons flew out, landing on the open space outside the territory. Fang Hao called the blacksmiths again. "Install troop saddles for all the bone dragons. Each troop saddle can carry 1 driver and 6 troops." While the blacksmiths were installing the troop saddles for the bone dragons, Fang Hao began to craft equipment for the skeleton trolls. Yesterday, Fang Hao had obtained several equipment. Blueprints for trolls. Troll heavy armor. Iron plate 8. Cast iron block 3. Thick tough leather 5. Troll iron helmet. Iron plate 5. Cast iron block 2. Thick tough leather 3. Troll war boots. Iron plate 6. Cast iron block 3. Thick tough leather 4. Set the quantity to 11. Hundredfold amplification triggered. Obtaining 1111 troll heavy armored. Hundredfold amplification triggered. Obtaining 1111 troll iron helmets. Hundredfold amplification triggered. Obtaining 1111 troll war boots. They were already in the open space outside the city, but the appearance of these troll equipment still piled up into a small mountain. My lord, what is this? At this moment, Blazeblade walked over. Blazeblade's soul had been modified, giving him 100% loyalty to Fang Hao, and his behavior was very steady. There hadn't been much fighting all along, so Blazeblade had been serving as a city defense general. After all, he couldn't feel at ease leaving the task of defending the city to Anya. Blazeblade, arrange for the skeleton trolls to change their equipment. We'll go out in a while. Fang Hao said. Yes, my lord. Blazeblade carried out Fang Hao's orders diligently and without any emotional fluctuations. Whether it was defending the city or leading the team in battle, there would be no emotions of willingness or unwillingness. 10 minutes later, the blacksmiths had finished securing all the troop saddles. The skeleton trolls had also changed into all their equipment as instructed. Fang Hao selected 10 bone dragons, carrying 68 skeleton trolls, with himself leading the team and Blazeblade accompanying him. Mount the bone dragons. Prepare to depart. Fang Hao was the first to sit on the back of a bone dragon, with 6 skeleton trolls also mounting the dragon's back behind him. A team of 70 people, after mounting the dragons, soared into the sky and flew towards the direction of Li Ting's territory. Fang Hao would absolutely not allow Li Ting to approach his territory. The territory was patrolled by a large number of skeleton soldiers around its perimeter. As soon as Li Ting approached and compared it with the map, he would deduce that Fang Hao could control skeletons. With Li Ting's pig brain, he might even take pictures and directly post them in the regional channel, revealing Fang Hao's secret. Fang Hao was not Li Ting. He wouldn't reveal his secrets for the sake of showing off, just to get a compliment. Therefore, upon learning that the other party intended to attack the territory, he chose to take the initiative to attack. On the other side, Li Ting was sitting with his legs crossed, picking his teeth with a wooden toothpick. He had just finished breakfast with his soldiers and was about to set off. This time, he was determined to wipe out Fang Hao. With 64th tier Greatsword Infantry, over 51st tier militia, and his army of over 100 men, what could Fang Hao, that little punk, possibly do against him? What right did he have to challenge him? In the alliance, the person with the best development only had a little over 20 soldiers, and no matter how well Fang Hao developed, he was no match for him. Prepare to set off. Everyone, perk up. The enemy is just a group of insignificant small territories. We'll go there, kill everyone, and take over the city. It's that simple, understand? Li Ting said loudly, a toothpick in his mouth, giving his pre-battle pep talk, and no matter how he calculated it, he had no reason to fail. It would just take some time on the road. Taking over the enemy's territory wouldn't be difficult. Understood, Lord. All the soldiers replied loudly. Tui. Li Ting spat out the toothpick in his mouth, waved his hand, and said, set off. The city gate opened, and the army advanced in the direction of Fang Hao's territory on the map. They hadn't gone far from the city when, Lord, there seems to be some creatures flying over in groups ahead. A greatsword infantryman said with a frown. Li Ting glanced up, his brows slightly furrowed. The distance was too far to see clearly what it was. Crows? Or eagles? Ignore them, and keep moving. Under Li Ting's urging, the army continued to advance, but they hadn't gone far before everyone's expressions started to turn grim. The targets flying towards them were getting bigger and bigger. When they clearly saw the creatures in the sky, everyone's hearts jumped into their throats. The first-tier soldiers even covered their heads and hid to the side, their bodies trembling uncontrollably. Bone dragons. It was a group of bone dragons, covering the sky and the sun, rushing towards them with a terrifying sense of oppression. What in the world was going on? On the back of a dragon, Fang Hao saw the advancing human army from afar. Without needing to ask, the group appearing here was Li Teng's army attacking Fang Hao. I Ting wasn't completely foolish. The number of troops was slightly more than what he had reported in the channel. There were about 100 people. Closer, dragon breath. Fang Hao patted the bone dragon's neck. Roar. Upon receiving the command, the bone dragon quickly swooped down. As it approached the top of the army, it directly released its death breath. The dragon breath, filled with death energy, spewed from the dragon's mouth, sweeping across the marching army on the ground. Screams of agony rang out. Those hit by the death breath had their flesh and blood melt and peel off, eventually leaving only a layer of charred skeletons scattered on the ground. Roar. Then, several bone dragons behind them also released their dragon breath, sweeping over the people who were fleeing in all directions on the ground. This was simply a massacre with no suspense. Li Teng was terrified by the scene before him that he instinctively stumbled backward, tripping himself and falling to the ground. Before his eyes, streams of dragon breath were harvesting the lives of his soldiers. His fourth-tier soldiers, which he was so proud of, were as weak as ants under the bone dragon's breath. There was no room for resistance. The next second, without any hesitation, Li Teng turned and ran, desperately running towards his territory. After one round of breath, all of Li Teng's soldiers below were already dead. Two first-tier soldiers had been affected by the dragon's might from the beginning and had fled directly into the distant forest. Fang Hao didn't arrange for anyone to pursue them either. After all, first-tier soldiers, whether they escaped or not, had no impact on the outcome of this victory. The giant dragon circled around, and Fang Hao saw Li Teng running back to his territory in desperation. Li Teng's modern clothes were easy to recognize. Seeing Li Teng enter the territory and the city gate close again, Fang Hao smiled slightly. This kid is really lucky. Only he is still alive. The bone dragon turned around and flew towards Li Teng's territory. The bone dragons, covering the sky and the sun, circled above the territory. The next second, countless tall figures, giant skeletons wielding axes, leaped from the bone dragons. They fell into the city like dumplings, and the towering city walls and tightly shut city gates were useless at this moment. Immediately after, a skeletal warrior in blood-red armor, wielding a long blade, leaped down. He shouted loudly, "Kill everyone who resists. Capture the enemy lord alive." Clatter. All the skeletal trolls received the order and quickly spread out, cleaning up the remnants. However, except for a small number of first-tier soldiers left behind, the rest of the troops had died outside. Where was there any resistance? Only the farmers in the territory were hiding in their rooms, trembling. The city was taken. The city gate was opened, and Fang Hao swaggered in. He came to the lord's mansion and sat down. This time, Li Teng, like a dead dog, was dragged in front of Fang Hao by Fireblade amidst loud pleas for mercy. This moment, where was the spirited Li Teng from the channel? His body trembled uncontrollably, and his snot and tears were a mess. When he saw a human sitting in the seat, he was slightly stunned. From beginning to end, he had only thought he was unlucky and had been attacked by undead, but he hadn't thought this was Fang Hao's army. "Li Teng, we meet," Fang Hao said with a smile, speaking in Chinese. Even if Li Teng's reaction was slow, he realized something at this moment. He widened his eyes and looked at Fang Hao in front of him with a face full of horror. "You are Fang Hao. Impossible. Impossible. You're lying to me. You're undead." Li Teng roared loudly. He knelt on the ground, his body constantly retreating. He was dragged back by Fireblade. "I am Fang Hao. I'll give you a quick death, considering we are fellow countrymen." Fang Hao said softly, "Li Teng must die, and everyone must know about it. Otherwise, there will always be people who get some opportunities, become arrogant, and then try to challenge him. This is a warning to everyone that he is willing to play, and no one will bother him. If someone is bored and comes to trouble him, there is only a dead end." No. Boss, I was just joking with you. Just a joke. Don't kill me." Fang Hao remained silent. "Boss, please let me go this once. I was wrong. I won't dare again. I'll kowtow to you. Let me go this once. I won't dare again." Saying that, he started banging his head on the ground heavily, without holding back. Fang Hao still didn't speak, but directly opened the Lord's book. The regional channel was still lively. Calculating the time, Boss Li Teng should have arrived. I wonder if he killed that kid. Fang Hao estimated that Fang Hao is now kneeling and begging for mercy, snot and tears flowing, wiping his eyes like a wronged little wife. Ha. Boss Li Teng, quickly send out the photos. We want to see that kid Fang Hao's miserable state. In the channel, message after message appeared. They were still cheering for Li Teng and mocking and attacking Fang Hao. Fang Hao looked at Li Teng and said directly, "Fireblade, make the blade quick. This is my fellow countryman." "Yes, my lord."